Bellemere was Nami's adoptive mother, who first entered the One Piece lore back in the East Blue arc. Her existence as Nami's mother has had profound implications on Nami's character growth arc. And like the first father that was visited in One Piece, it is equally necessary to spend time unpacking the value and meaning behind the first mother that the One Piece saga presents, Bellemere. We don't actually spend much time with Bellemere in the saga, as she tragically lost her life defending the lives of Nami and her sister Nojiko from Arlong, long before the events of One Piece ever began. Yet, so much of what we know about Bellemere is wrapped up in her sacrifice. However, one thing that might be even greater than her sacrifice as a mother to Nami and Nojiko was who she was and what she taught them as a mother. To understand what Bellemere taught and how she nurtured as a mother, you have to first understand who she was as a person. Bellemere was a quintessential delinquent. She grew up in Kokoyashi Village, the place where she raised her daughters, and during that time she created the same type of chaos her daughters did. She was a rebel who undoubtedly fought and mouthed her way to the fear and respect of her neighbors. With no other talents or interests other than growing tangerines and fighting, Bellemere joined the Navy. Bellemere was troubled by the way that pirates terrorized the peace-loving nations of the world, and so she joined and fought and made a career for herself. In fact, the jacket she wore on the night she returned from the Oikot Kingdom with Nojiko and Nami was the jacket of a Marine captain, which would indicate that she may have gained considerable rank in the Navy, as she at least served directly under a captain. Bellemere was a fighter, and a rebel, and a troublemaker. All she knew was her sense of justice and fighting her way into seeing it. Yet for all of her lack of true purpose, when she found Nojiko and Nami abandoned and lost in a decimated city, a new desire entered her heart. One, to become a mother. And as a mother, she instilled in her daughters these lessons. Bellemere taught her daughters unconditional love. She taught them that even for those who are born to different parents, the love of a mother who isn't biologically tied to you is just as strong. Bellemere taught her daughters sacrifice. In her village, she wasn't very wealthy. In fact, she was poor by most standards. Bellemere, for her daughters, skipped meals and scrimped and saved the best she could in order to provide for them. She even left her career in the Marines to be a mother, the one thing that she relied on for income. Now, she relied only on her tangerine orchard that wasn't very lucrative. Bellemere didn't have the ability to buy her daughters everything she wanted to buy for them, but she would always entertain their wishes and encourage them to make their requests to her even if they knew she couldn't afford it, because Bellemere was the type of mother that if there was a way to sacrifice to get her daughters what they wanted, she would make that sacrifice. Bellemere taught her daughters strength. For as much as she didn't enjoy having to chase after them, for as much as she did enjoy seeing them viewed as the delinquent she was when she was growing up, Bellemere wanted her daughters to always be strong, not to apologize for being tough or having opinions or having wants, and not to allow the fact that they're girls to impede upon that strength. Bellemere taught her daughters to nurture their own dreams and minds. Nami, from a very young age, showed interest in maps. She grew in her studies from when she was very young and was a consumer of books. Bellemere loved this trait of Nami's and nurtured it, praised it, and spurred her on to grow, even to draw a map of the entire sea, even to become a navigator. Bellemere raised smart girls. She taught her daughters about joy. It is very easy to find yourself in life internalizing the circumstances that you find yourself in from season to season. When things are good, it's easy to believe that you should be happy. And when things are bad, when life doesn't work out in your favor, as it has the chance of doing now and again, it's easy to believe that you should be sad and depressed. But Bellemere knew that to be strong, to be a fighter, to love yourself means that even in the worst of times, the strongest thing you can do is smile, to enjoy yourself, and to have joy, that when you make it through that season, you can experience the greater joy to come. These are the lessons that Bellemere taught Nojiko and Nami, lessons that we learned only in her last chapter, but to be sure, Bellemere's lessons, her instruction and guidance that she gave to her daughters was 10 years in the making. She was the one to comfort them, to chastise them, to encourage them, and to give them stability. And although we don't see it in One Piece, Bellemere was their mother from the time they were in diapers. She taught them to speak. She taught them to run. And she cared for them when they were sick. Bellemere, although her time as a mother was short, was that in every sense of the word. Mother is both a noun and a verb. It is both who you are and what you do. A mother is someone who gives birth to a child, and in most cases, this is how you acquire the title. Yet other mothers acquire the title by what they do. You nurture, you guide, you love, and you take in children who need someone to give them a home. Bellemere mothered in ways that many natural mothers can't or won't. She loved Nami and Nojiko fiercely, and even sacrificed herself for them, knowing that there was no other way that they would be safe. She didn't have all of the answers, and she probably wasn't prepared to be a mother when her time at motherhood presented itself. She was rough around the edges. Yet she was humble enough to walk through and grow into motherhood just as her daughters grew from babies to girls, preparing to be young women. She was willing to admit when she was wrong. She did her best to make amends, and she made it her aim to make sure that her daughters knew that they were loved. Bellemere wasn't the typical mother, but of all the mothers One Piece could have focused on to tell their story first, there is none more fitting than Bellemere.
Never give up. You must find the strength inside you to always move on. You must live through every moment. And if you can smile in the face of it all, that is the greatest strength.